Anyone?
Guruji, three modes of material nature:
Okay.
mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness.
What about them?
Uh, so it is said that, all these three modes of material nature are always present. And when we are in mode of goodness, when we are in Krishna consciousness, that time we are in mode of goodness. When there is passion, that means we are looking for fruitive results for the activities. And when we are in ignorance, that means, we are, uh, I'm not getting the right word.
Hmm.
We are in ignorance.
So, mode of goodness, mode of ignorance is poison in the beginning, poison in the end.
Yeah. And mode of goodness is little difficult in the beginning, but nectar in the end.
And passion is
Passion is no, Prabhuji.
think of mode of passion that I want to fulfill my desires. I want to strive hard, work hard to fulfill my desires, right?
So
Or
you're not constant. You are always in that rush to achieve something, always do something. So you're always continuously moving. You are not at peace.
I want to eat the most luxurious food, or I want to, experience the
Sense
best.
gratification. Sense gratification.
So it's nectar in the beginning. It will feel very good, right? But poison in the end, or poison later. So if you gratify your senses, you'll immediately feel some satisfaction. It's like an itch, right? You itch, then you'll feel nice. Ah, I'm itching, thank God. But then you itch more, and then you itch even more, right? And then blood comes. So it's not good. And goodness is like controlling. I know there is a boil. If I itch, it'll just blood will come and it'll spread in other parts of the body. So although there is a strong feeling to itch right now, I should control. So it's poison in the beginning, but if you go through that phase where you're not itching, it'll cure over a period of time, and you don't have to worry in the long run. Anything else from previous shlokas?
Yeah, cleanliness, environment, and organized way of living.
Okay. Yes.
And food is a mode of goodness.
Yeah, some of the characteristics of mode of goodness. Yes, cleanliness being a very very important one. So, what is the famous saying about cleanliness?
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
So, the famous saying is cleanliness is next to godliness. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj he modified this a little bit. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj is spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. He said, cleanliness is godliness. It's not next to, it is godliness. Right? So, in fact, Srila Prabhupada, in the one of the letters to his disciples, I think he mentions, I'm giving you the system of deity worship for two things, so that there can be, you can maintain cleanliness and timeliness. So you can do things in a very organized way on time, and you can keep everything clean. And if that is one of the biggest features of all these temples, also, people are surprised how clean the temple is, right? If you walk into the Radha Raspberry, right, and there are so many people who are coming in these buses, or people going to Jew Beach and then coming, so they bring a lot of dirt, I mean unwillingly also they carry a lot of dirt, and it's on the floor. So immediately you'll find somebody sweeping that away, or immediately reporting to the security and getting cleaned, etc. So that's one of the prominent features Prabhupada wanted ISKCON temples to be extremely clean. So, in fact, I was just hearing, one of the videos of my Guru Maharaj. He was describing of his experiences with Srila Prabhupada. In fact, I think that's there in the group, Partha Priya Prabhu, or maybe it's in the Dasosmi group. So he was describing that how, Srila Prabhupada once called him, I think this was Vrindavan temple, if I'm not mistaken, or some other temple. So called him and Prabhupada asked, "How's everything going?" So Guruma said, "Yes, everything is going good. Everything is fine." So Prabhupada immediately looked up, and that was his quarters, it seems, and there was a nest. A pigeon had made a nest. So Prabhupada said, "Is this fine? Do you think it's fine?" So yeah, he was very, very particular about cleanliness. So in fact, there was other instances where devotees would hear that, oh, Prabhupada is going to come, and they would make sure everything is spick and span, completely clean, especially the kitchen, because Prabhupada, as soon as he would arrive in a temple, he would, go on a tour of every single department, every single place in a temple. So I was just hearing a remembrance by one devotee, I'm forgetting which devotee, but he was describing how, they had done so much effort to clean everything, and his responsibility was the kitchen area. And he had made sure everything is 100% clean. And then Prabhupada comes and, very, nicely, gracefully, he's just walking around as if just, glancing and walking, not even like specifically glancing and walking. So, and then he goes to one corner, a specific corner where this Prabhuji has missed out something, and he will, rub his finger like, "What is this?" You're not keeping it clean. So, Guru's job is to, of course, to correct the disciple, and in fact, Prabhupada also mentioned this once that, father and Guru, they are meant to correct. They're not meant to appreciate. Oh, you did very, very nice. No, I appreciate the effort. No, father and Guru are meant to correct. I'm not remembering, was it with Bhakti Charu Maharaj? So Prabhupada, was very heavy chastising. Right? And he says, "What can I do? I'm supposed to do this. Right? I'm supposed to correct so that you improve." So yeah, that's the responsibility for Guru and a father. Anything else from the previous sources? Anyone?
One last point, a fruitive mentality to serve God.
Okay, what about that?
I mean, you should not do for the sake of
Fruitive.
serving God, and you should not expect returns.
So, in the 27th verse, Krishna is describing the spirit soul is bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself as a doer. Did we discuss, are we the doer or not the doer? Did we discuss that? And if we are not the doer, how are the activities carried out?
Prabhuji, everything is given to us. Everything is like Krishna has given us everything, but he's still given us the choice to make our decision. So he's creator of everything, but he's not part of that,
Okay. But yeah, that's correct. I think you touched upon what I was looking for a bit. But how come that we are not the doers? We are doing everything. If you're working in the kitchen and you prepare some dish for children and they say, "Thank you, mommy, it was very tasty," right? Do you think, "Oh, I did not cook this food"? Do you think like that?
Yeah, because there are so many other contributors to it. Earth, fire, everything, all those things which have contributed to create that food is not me.
Yeah.
So
Isn't that something good to hear and say in a Bhagavad Gita class, but practically do we do that?
no, I do that. I do that. I
Nice.
actually started to do that.
Great. That's fantastic. Any other thoughts on, are we the doers? Are we not the doers? What is it? When we do something, I mean, it's obvious, right? We did that. How is it that Krishna is saying that, people who are under.
Prabhuji, also, whatever we do, if we do it with that consciousness, that Krishna consciousness, then also is it like that we are not the doers because we are doing it for our supreme Lord. So with that consciousness, when we do something, then also we are not the doer. We are doing it for Krishna. So
when consciousness comes into play, right? You're consciously choosing to develop a certain attitude or a certain quality, right? You're consciously putting that effort, and that's the choice that you make. That's the only freedom that you have, which you kind of mentioned in the previous point. So the only independence the soul has is the freedom to choose. If you're taking that choice, right, that is action in itself. That okay, I'm choosing something, right? So that is what the soul can do, and that is what Krishna is looking for. When will you choose him over other things, right? When will you choose him? When will you rise above the three modes of material nature and choose him? That's what he's looking for. I think Preeti, last time you had asked certain questions about this whole thing. Do you remember anything about us being the doer or not being the doer?
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm just listening to everyone, and I think what I remember is, of course, if we surrender and if we believe this, that Krishna is the doer, I think that's great. But we also said that we need to play our part. So I think I remember that because I asked you this question about when I work, how should I go about it? So, I mean, well, I'm here, so I need to execute my responsibilities, my duties, whatever I'm supposed to do. But I think if you do it with a sense of detachment, that's one, without worrying about the result, and then dedicating that and thinking that, I'm not the one who's doing it, it's basically Krishna. And then I do remember I said that, I think that gives a lot of peace also. So I remember you said one thing, that soul has the power of choice, and therefore if you do things in goodness, then probably you'll be able to detach yourself from the results and work in or establish yourself in Krishna consciousness. That's what I remember. I
Right.
don't know whether that made sense or not, but yeah.
Sure, it did. So everything around us is actually, material energy. Even the three modes of material nature are heavily influencing our choices, right? So, in one sense, everything is actually carried out by the material nature because the body it's not you. It's actually part of the material nature or material energy. So, and even there are other factors for a work to be accomplished, not just the desire. So there is desire, there is sanction of the Lord, there is the enthusiasm to carry out that activity, the strength needed to carry out that activity, the favorable conditions to do the particular action. So there are these different factors which are involved in action to happen, right? So if you see, the desire is just one small part of it. There are other four or five factors, right? So it's not that we are doing everything. In fact, material nature is forcing us. The three modes of material nature are heavily influencing our choices. It's almost like literally we are being driven to do certain things. That's what in the second chapter, Arjuna is also asking, how come we do things even though we know it's bad for us, we are driven to do those things, right? So yeah, I mean, most the entire action is actually carried out with the material nature. We just desire it, and if you choose Krishna, we are, we'll have more and more freedom to choose even better, yeah, make better choices every time. Choose Krishna, right? Or what will take us towards Krishna, so that can be our freedom increases essentially. All right. So then Krishna goes on to say in 28th verse that one who is in knowledge of absolute truth, Almighty Arm, does not engage himself in senses and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. So I think we already spoke of fruitive results. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to performers' lack of knowledge. So we saw how somebody in Krishna consciousness does not unsettle someone who's completely attached to some fruitive activities. But from the previous verses to this as well, we understood how the devotee, very intelligently engages them in Krishna consciousness, sometimes even without their knowledge. And we also saw how devotees are even more merciful than the Lord, and they take all kinds of risks to give Krishna consciousness to others. So we start with today's shloka. Mai sarvani karmani
सर्वाणि कर्माणि
sanyas atma
सन्न्यस्याध्यात्मचेतसा
nirashir mamo bhutva
राशिर्नर्ममो भूत्वा
yudhyasva vigata jvara.
युध्यस्व विगतज्वरः.
Can someone read the translation?
Yes. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight.
Yes. So Krishna has been saying that somebody who's bewildered by false ego thinks that he is the doer, and somebody who's in knowledge, right, knows the difference between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. Then he's saying those who are ignorant, they engage themselves in material activities, and the wise, they don't unsettle them. Therefore, Arjuna, surrendering all your work unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desire for profit, with no claim of proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. Right? Very, very important. So, how should we act? We should work, dedicate all the work to Lord with full knowledge and understanding about Krishna, without any ulterior motives or desire for profit, or without thinking that I am the doer, I should be enjoying, the fruits, etc., and free from lethargy. So this is the art of doing work. Krishna is explaining, right? This is the art of doing work. Surrender the work to Him. Have full knowledge about Him, and therefore you'll be inspired to surrender the work and its results to Him. Even the results, you should not desire the profit for yourself, not claim proprietorship, and free from lethargy. So, in the purport Prabhupada is describing this verse clearly indicates the purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Lord instructs that one has to become fully Krishna conscious to just discharge duties, as if in military discipline. Such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Krishna, because that is the constitutional position of the living entity. The living entity cannot be happy independent of the cooperation of the Supreme Lord, because the eternal constitutional position of the living entity is to become subordinate to the desires of the Lord. So not that, I should desire and Krishna should fulfill. Rather, Krishna's desire should be my desire. So when we talk of, becoming one with God, it's not that I emerge into the existence of God and I lose my identity. We should be one in desire. And not that the Lord has to, follow my desire, but I should follow the Lord's desire. And that's how we can have unity in desire, or oneness in desire. So the living entity can, we read that. Arjuna was therefore ordered by Sri Krishna to fight as if the Lord were his military commander. One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord, and at the same time discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of the Lord. He had only to execute his order. The Supreme Lord is the soul of all souls. Therefore, one who depends solely and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal considerations, or in other words, one who is fully Krishna conscious, is called Adhyatma Chetasaha. Nirashih means that one has to act on the order of the master but should not expect fruitive results. The cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim a cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. This is one of the biggest peace formulas, right? You can be peaceful. Everything is Krishna's, right? So loss, profit, gain, anything, that is Krishna's, right? Not yours. So, and that is the real purport of Mai, or unto me. And when one acts in such Krishna consciousness, certainly he does not claim proprietorship over anything. This consciousness is called nirmama, or nothing is mine. And if there is any reluctance to execute such stern order, which is without consideration of so-called kinsmen in bodily relationships, that reluctance should be thrown off. And in this way, one may become Vigatajvara, or without feverish mentality or lethargy. Everyone, according to his quality and position, has a particular type of work to discharge, and all such duties may be discharged in Krishna consciousness as described above. That will lead one to the path of liberation. Now, this may sound very heavy, right? Should not be attached at all, and have no claims of any proprietorship, and no consideration of one own self, etc. And without a second thought, follow exactly what the Lord is saying without any other considerations. Now, this may sound, little too high or too heavy for us immediately, right? But yeah, and in the following verses, Krishna, he describes further how we can go step by step to achieve something like this. Even Prabhupada describes, in a very, very systematical way. Not that if we cannot do it immediately, we are, nowhere, or we are the losers, etc. We cannot we should give it up, etc. It'll come in the, further verses and purports, that how one should have the desire, right? Even if one is able to immediately execute the orders, but one should have a strong desire, right? And that itself will become the cause of liberation, even if one is not able to immediately execute. There was something which I kind of remembered to say, but I'm just lost it. Just a second. There's something which was, yes, if it comes to me, I'll again talk about it. Prabhuji, you want to add anything here? Parthapriya Prabhu?
Yes, Fuji. No, nothing as such. So last time I think on Preeti's question we were discussing, we said that we'll be discussing it in this verse of how we should act, what should be our consciousness while we are working. So Krishna very clearly puts it in this verse that so we're not working for our own sense enjoyment, but it's the consciousness that we're doing everything for Krishna. That is, I think, something we discussed last time also. So what is the motive? We really need to ask ourselves when we are going out to work, what is the whole motive and consciousness behind me working? Sometimes it is said that we have that goat mentality, or that sheep mentality rather. So whether there is a sheep, the leader, and everyone else follows behind, just looking at the first person. Why we are doing what we're doing, we just don't know. We're just doing because everyone else is doing. Why are we working? Because everyone else is working. Why are we getting educated? Because everyone else is doing that. So seldom do we actually question ourselves as to why we are doing what we are doing and what is the whole motive behind it all. So we were discussing this last time as well, how our whole education system, we end up doing a lot of things because everyone else in society, our friends, relatives, they've done the same thing, and therefore with the hope that we'll be actually happy in pursuing this path of education and work and so on. But what is not taught is the motive behind it all. And for a materialist, the motive is my own sense gratification. Whereas here Krishna very clearly puts it that the motive behind one's work is not for our own sense enjoyment, but for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. And I think in the coming few verses we'll be seeing about lust, and we've spoken about this so many times before also, the difference between love and lust, and how lust is where the living thinks that he wants to work and satisfy his own self. Love is when we actually want to satisfy the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada in the lecture he mentions that everyone is a servant. There's no one who can deny and say that I'm not serving anything or anyone. No one at all. There's no one who can say that I am the master and everyone else is serving me. Whether it's the king, whether it's the head of the family, whether it's the head of the nation, everyone is serving. So no one can deny service. That is natural. That will always be there. It's just in illusion we may think that we are the master, but actually we are serving. The husband serves the wife and the family. The wife serves the husband. The king serves the subjects. Right? So everyone is serving. There is no question of, so it's the living entity's constitutional position to serve. Now the only thing is we need to ask ourselves what service really satisfies us. Whether it's satisfying, whether it's serving the living entities or different people around us, or serving the Supreme Lord. So when we choose to serve the Supreme Lord and work in that consciousness that I'm doing for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, that is actually what really satisfies the living entity from within, not service to the country and the nation. And we were talking about this last time as well. So Krishna is very, very clearly putting it here. And therefore, like Prabhupada says, it's like a military instruction. Someone might say, oh, do for my sake, not for your own sake. It might sound very heavy, like Prabhuji was saying. But actually, it's very natural for the living entity to be happy in engaging in serving the Supreme Lord.
So I think Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami Maharaj has encapsulated this very nicely in one of the classes, and I can immediately relate right now. So he mentioned how we should do service to the Lord, and he said one has to be art of doing work, right? One has to be uh, professional, one has to be devotional and humble, right? Three things: professional, devotional, and humble. So professional means we should, do our work very, very professionally, very perfectly, right? As nicely as possible, free from lethargy. You can actually relate it to this verse directly, right? Then devotional, which means that we should, surrender everything to the Lord, offer the results, in a very, very nice devotional mood, understanding who the Lord is, right? And then humble, not claim or think that, oh, it's because of me, this happened. Oh, look, I am able to, serve the Lord so nicely. I got so much results, etc. It's due to me, or it's due to my talent, etc. Right? So humble. No, it's by the grace of the Lord only, that I was able to do something. Krishna very kindly chose me to do, something. Nimitta matra, right? So again, giving the credit for the work as well to the Lord. So that is the art of doing work, professional, devotional, and humble. And I think, it fits exactly right here, this verse. Any thoughts on this, anyone? Should we move ahead? So Preeti, I think you're a step ahead. You're asking what Krishna is about to say every time. Yes, Preeti.
Yeah. No, I think it's really nice. And I've just made a note of what you said. I think it's very nice that humility, yes, is very important. And, thank you for choosing me for this work. I think that's fantastic. I'll I'll add on to what I usually say before I go for work. I think I'll also add this line. I used to say thank you for giving me this opportunity, but I think this is much better. Thank you for choosing me. This is a more humble statement. So I think, yeah, that's interesting. I just have a quick question in this verse, because you said that Krishna's desire should become your desire. So um, what is Krishna's desire for us? Is it common? Is it different for different people? Because people execute different roles depending on the competencies they have. So what is Krishna desire for us?
So a very nice question. I think I can give you the holistic desire, and of course the specifics are also Krishna spoken Bhagavad Gita, just explaining what he desires. So that's one. Second, I think holistically, I can give you a quick example. So imagine, there are parents, there's a family, and there are parents with many, many children, hundreds of children, right? And it's Diwali time, and they're trying to celebrate, the function. And everywhere the environment is very joyous, right? The children are preparing to burn crackers. The mother is cooking a nice feast, all kinds of sweets. The father is ensuring you know everything is well decorated, well lit, etc., etc. But then in this entire scene, suddenly the mother from this entire hustle of all people around, all relatives around, and children around. She kind of moves out, gets into a room, pulls out a picture and cries. She has so many relatives surrounding her, but she kind of chooses to kind of move out, go in a room, pulls out a picture and cries. Similarly, the father, again, he's surrounded by relatives, talking to people, very joyous mood. But then again, he pulls out in between, goes in the room, pulls out a picture and cries. So it's a picture of their own son, although they have many children, right? And most of them are there, but maybe one or two they're not there, and they feel to know why they are not there. The mother may have hundreds of children, but she'll still feel for that one child who's missing, right? So that is what Krishna also feels. That 75% they are there in the spiritual world. We are the nalak 25% still here. And the Lord is Anandmaya Abhyasat. There is nothing which is missing in the spiritual world. Nothing, absolutely, right? And every single individual there gives so much pleasure to Krishna, and they also enjoy so much in reciprocation with Krishna that they don't even need to look at anywhere else. In fact, the whole pastime of Damodar Leela, where Krishna, he broke the pot, etc. So before that, Krishna was hungry and he held the churning rod, which Mother Yashoda was churning butter on. He held the churning rod, and he indicated that he was hungry, and Mother Yashoda started feeding milk to him. And when she was feeding Krishna was very small. When she was feeding Krishna, Krishna was looking at her. She was looking at Krishna, and that exchange, the Goswami is describing Mother Yashoda is feeding her love to Krishna. So it's unlimited. It's actually unlimited. And Krishna, he is drinking that love of Mother Yashoda, and that he can unlimitedly go on drinking or go on accepting the love of Mother Yashoda. So this pastime would have never ended, right? Would have never ended had it not been for the milk to boil over and Mother Yashoda, thinking that, oh, this milk is also for Krishna's service, and I should not let it get wasted. So she put Krishna down and went to attend the milk. And then Krishna, he became angry and then broke the pot, etc. And the pastime ahead. But the fact that, this exchange was such that it could have gone, unlimitedly without any breakage, without any stoppage. Right? That was the kind of love Mother Yashoda had for Krishna, and Krishna has for his devotee. So even a single devotee, that kind of exchange is possible. So he really doesn't need to, come down again and again, show himself, bother about us, come back. Right? So Krishna, he has two things for which he comes. Paritrana and sadhunam is the first one, and that's actually the main one, right? To give pleasure to his devotees, to reclaim, the fallen conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. So he's coming here to advertise that, look, do not speculate who God is. I'm here, and these are my pastimes. This is how much I love you, right? So please come back. So the father and mother, they are also surrounded by so many, relatives, family members, children. They still feel for those children who are missing. That's what Krishna feels. That's the, main goal, that he wants us to come back. Is that okay? And that's why he gives specific instructions in Bhagavad Gita. He left so many instructions. He keeps sending, spiritual masters or, messengers, literally, in all, not just in India, all over the world, actually, right? So that somewhere or the other we realize and like, okay, I'm wasting my time. Let me turn to Krishna.
Fine, thanks.
All right. The next verse. Yeah. Oops. Okay, I know what happened. Sorry. Ye me matam idam nityam.
Ye me matam idam nityam
Anutishtanti manava
अनुतिष्ठन्ति मानव
Shraddhavanto anusuyanto
श्रद्धावन्तो अनुसूयन्तो
Uchyante api karmabhi.
मुच्यन्ते कर्मणि.
Translation, anyone would like to read?
Can I write,
Yes.
Prabhuji?
Yes, please.
But those who are envy, disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge.
Are you reading somewhere else? Or
32, no?
31, 31.
31. Those persons execute their duties according to my injunction and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy becomes free from the bondage of fruitive actions.
So, Krishna is describing how those who execute their duties according to his injunctions, like my injunctions, and who follow this teaching faithfully, Krishna is saying, without envy, become free from bondage of fruitive actions. So, very, very simple. And you know, if somebody says, do you want to be free from suffering? Right? Okay, let me ask you all. Do you all want to be free from all sufferings? Raise your hands. How many of you all are in for it? Free from all sufferings.
We want to be.
Yes, yes, you want to be free from all suffering, right? Everyone, isn't it? Even those who did not raise their hands. Okay, yeah, I think it's still happening. So, this is the formula. Krishna is saying those persons who execute their duties according to my instructions or injunctions, follow these teachings faithfully, without envy, become free from bondage of fruitive actions. But what is bondage of fruitive actions? So, you know, when I'm doing something, I don't get karma for that, right? So when that root cause is, you know, negated, it's like completely washed away. For you getting sinful reactions, when that is completely rooted out, there won't be any suffering. Suffering is because of sin, right? But if you follow the injunctions of Krishna, you know, very diligently, faithfully, without envy, slowly and steadily, you will come to a stage where you're not sinning anymore, and you won't have, you know, you won't have to suffer uh, because you won't be committing any sin. And for what about the past sins? The more you chant, you're actually burning up your account of past sins. Not just sins. If you are chanting, you know, in an elevated stage, you might burn off your punyas also, right? Which is not a bad thing because punya also keeps you bound in the material world. So Prabhupada is writing here, the injunction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom and therefore is eternally true without exception. As the Vedas are eternal, so this truth of Krishna consciousness is also eternal. One should have firm faith in this injunction without envying God, envying the Lord. Right? Someone may think, oh, I don't envy Krishna, right? I have nothing to do, you know, why should I envy Krishna? But the fact that, you know, we want to enjoy Krishna's energy, right? Not accept, oh, Krishna is the Lord. Even after knowing Krishna is the Lord, we still have the mentality, oh, I should enjoy. I'm the enjoyer, right? That is envying Krishna. There are many philosophers who write comments on Bhagavad Gita but have no faith in Krishna. They will never be liberated from the bondage of fruitive actions. Sorry. But an ordinary man with firm faith in eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, which I was talking about in the previous verse, right? But an ordinary man with firm faith in the eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, becomes liberated from the bondage of laws of karma. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, very important, works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. Right? So, the goal may look very, very tall. If someone actually, understands Krishna consciousness in its depths, I mean, one cannot fully 100%, know Krishna, of course, because he's unlimited. Even the science of Krishna consciousness is unlimited in one sense. But if one goes little deep also, the first thing that comes is humility. Why? Because one realizes this is so vast. It's like an unlimited ocean. I have not even tasted a drop. There is so much more yet to explore. There is so much more yet to achieve, right? So somebody who's actually in knowledge will be humble, will understand, oh, I don't know so much, right? I know only very little, right? I know very little. Like, Mahabharata, there is 1 lakh verses of Mahabharata on planet Earth. In heavens, it's more than 1 million verses, right? So there is so much more detail, there is so much more depth to actually learn. So it may be overwhelming. How possibly can I actually, understand all of this? Like some people say, oh, Arey, pura Bhagavad Gita padna, matlab, how can I go through this? It's so big, so vast. How will I do it? How will I remember things? Right? Book देख के डर जाते हैं, नहीं, I cannot read this. When we go out to sell Bhagavad Gita, we don't have time to read this. They are intimidated just by looking at the size of the book, right? And Bhagavad Gita is still thin compared to Srimad Bhagavatam first canto and the entire set, what to speak of that, right? So Krishna is saying here, one who with full faith discharge or tries or he's not resentful of the principle that I should follow Krishna's injunctions, and he works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness. So Krishna is just waiting to see sincerity. Actually, he knows that you won't be able to do so much immediately. He knows that, but with whatever you can do, if you're giving your 100% there, right? He appreciates that, and he understands, okay, you are not hopeless, right? One's inability cannot be greater than Krishna's mercy, right? We should understand this, right? We can never be enough fallen or enough sinful to be surpassing Krishna's mercy. Krishna's mercy is unlimited. With one drop of his mercy, all your sins can be washed away in a minute, or in a second rather. Sorry, right? So our inability to do things, or our shortcomings, or our mentality, wrong mentality, it's not greater than the mercy of the Lord. So one should never be hopeless. Like we were discussing in one of the classes, that no matter how many times you fall down, get up and continue. Instead of crying, oh well, I fell down from my position, what can I do, I'm like this only. Instead of apne aap ko कोसने से ज़्यादा, right, just get up, understand what to do, right? We had the formula, BMW, blame, moan and weep. You can either do that, or you can do CID. CID is what can I do now, right? And what you can do now is get up again, and with double vigor, try to follow the path of Krishna consciousness. Bounce back, right? And in corporate world, they say, oh, you should bounce back and this and that, right? Yeah, it may happen for some people, but the real thing is here. And if we know, and actually it comes because we have faith that, oh, Krishna's mercy is unlimited. We have faith that Krishna will take care, no matter how many times I fall down. So we are not hopeless, right? And we should not consider ourselves defeated, right? Because it's a process. You will fall down. You have to get back and continue. That's it. So if one works like that, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. It's like going, from Mumbai to Pune, maybe, right? You're on a highway, and there is some. As you're going, carburetor mein thoda kachra aa gaya. The vehicle is giving some jerks. You stop the car, it's a setback. You pull out, you try to identify the problem first, and then pull out the trash and then continue further. You won't say, "Arey, kachra ho gaya, I cannot go. Let me return back." You don't say that. Or even if you have a flat tire, what you'll do, you'll push the vehicle to a spot where you can get it repaired, and from there still move ahead to the destination. You won't say, "Arey, let me return now." No, you won't. Right? You're already on the path. The intelligent thing is, okay, fine, you have a little setback. Let me, get it repaired. Let me, think of a workaround or something, and then still continue towards the destination. Especially when you're actually, going from some other place to actually your home, you would want to reach your home. So we are trying to reach Krishna, which is, and in the spiritual world, which is our real home. So you won't, not proceed ahead. You'll do everything possible to fix the situation to proceed ahead. Rosie, you want to add something? Or anyone else has any other comments or thoughts on this?
Narani Mataji had her hand up.
I just want to ask, how do we realize that we are falling down? Like any examples?
Example, simple, and it can be very, very, on a very gross level, we can understand. At least that can be easily noticed. Is say, for example, there are 4 regulative principles. So we can understand if we were following it nicely, and then suddenly, oh, maybe I should, eat onion garlic, and you actually happen to eat. I mean, if you've given up already and you're trying to eat now, it's a fall down. It's a straightforward thing. And then, oh, I've fallen down. I'm not meant for it. Maybe I should just continue eating onion garlic. No, that's not the case, right? That should not be the attitude. Rather, the attitude should be, okay, my senses got the better of me this time, not the next time. Let me, with more seriousness, chant nicely, associate nicely, so that I don't fall prey or victim to, such allurements again. That should be the attitude. On a deeper level, you can analyze whether your material attachment is increasing or decreasing. That's not really. That's not like a fall down per se. But yeah, in general, you can also check yourself and see whether you're going downwards or upwards. So as a natural result, your attachment to Krishna, and that's coming up in the later verses also in the purports as well. Your attachment to Krishna, whether it's increasing or not, and as a natural result of that attachment to Krishna, your detachment, goes up. You will be naturally detached to so many material things. So whether that is happening or not, you can understand for yourself. And when you're serving Krishna, you naturally feel happy. If you remain sad, if you are morose, you should understand. You're not doing bhajan kriya nicely. You're not associating with devotees nicely. So these are some checks and balances you can have. Prabhu, you want to add something?
Okay.
No, I think Prajit is perfect. This is how we check. I think Prajit mentioned quite a few points. It covers most of everything, I think. So our motivation, our work, and whatever we're doing should be to satisfy the Lord. That also we can keep in mind. Whatever we are doing, what is the motivation behind it? Is it sometimes when we start practicing Krishna consciousness, there can be other subtle things which may motivate us. We may not even know, they're just so subtle that we don't even know how different things are pushing us in Krishna consciousness, which are not really so Krishna conscious. So that can be respect, adoration, followers, and so many other things like that. So they are like pitfalls on the path of Krishna consciousness. So when we are practicing, what is the motivation behind my practice? Why do I do what I do? Why do I want to get up early in the morning and chant? Why do I want to serve the Lord? So there can be very subtle reasons also, and the motivation behind us doing all of this. So we can be a little more introspective and understand why we are doing what we are doing. Is my desire to please the Lord when I'm chanting? What is my desire when I'm chanting, sitting there and chanting? Do I think that I'm doing this for the pleasure of the Lord and purify myself, or is it some other desire? When I'm serving, maybe cooking for the Lord, what is the desire with which I'm cooking? Am I cooking for my own taste, or am I cooking for the pleasure of the Lord? So there can be many subtle things like that we can plan introspect and ask ourselves. If we start doing things for gaining more attention or gaining more respect or things like that, then we know it's like a subtle fall down. So he was talking gross, and then there are subtle things in how we can fall down like that also.
So just to add to that, in the beginning we may not be at that stage, so it's okay. Even if I'm coming to Bhagavad Gita class and ask intelligent questions, or do some service or do something else just because I want a pat on the back. That's okay. That's okay in the beginning. But as one advances, right, or as one becomes more and more serious, over a period of time, one should introspect and also take care of the subtle aspects. Move from, wanting something for personal gain, fame, pleasure, etc., to, oh, how can I serve Krishna? How can Krishna be pleased? So, and Krishna is saying, Prabhupada is also saying, these are stages. We all know the Goswamis have given us these stages step by step. Not that you will be 100% on the final stage on day one. So it's okay. And Krishna also says, Artho Artharthi Jikya. So people who are distressed, who are in need of wealth, or who are inquisitive, or who are intelligent, they come to me. And these are, very, very noble personalities. At least they're coming to me like that. So that's the beginning. That's where we start. So that's okay, right? But as you spend more and more time, one should aim towards, moving from wanting some fame, name, something for ourselves, to actually, oh, I should do this for Krishna only. And one should internally check, am I do? In fact, to a point, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was eating sweet rice only once in a day. That was his meal. Mahaprasad sweet rice offered to the Lord, little bit, one bowl in the entire day. That was only his meal. And that also, while eating, he was thinking, am I eating this because it's offered to the Lord and it's Mahaprasad and I'm honoring Mahaprasad, or am I eating this for the pleasure of my tongue? You would analyze or think like that. It's very high stage. Yeah. But I mean, so the bar is really high, but we should not be discouraged because of that. I think the art of getting things done, I think there's one book like that. So, the simplest thing is not to be discouraged by, very, very tall goal, but actually take, what is the next step? What is the next simple step I can take very easily? Identify that, right? And take that next step. In fact, I was hearing his guest Vaisheshika Prabhu, he was describing how if someone has to go for book distribution, right? How to go for book distribution? Book distribution is like one of the, dearmost service to Srila Prabhupada. How can someone do that? It may feel like, oh, I cannot do it. I don't have time. I cannot talk to people on the street. I've never done it. There could be hundreds of reasons for not, thinking I cannot do it. But Prabhuji said, okay, fine. Yeah, maybe you cannot do book distribution. What can you do? You can at least get out of the bed and move out of the house. That is the first. That is that's the immediate step. Step one for actually going out for book distribution is getting out of the house. If one identifies that, just does that, maybe for a week or two, while somebody's planning, oh, I want to do book distribution. Maybe that is the only thing that they do. They get out of their bed, get out of the house. Don't do book distribution, it's fine. Just go out of the house. With an intention, I should do book distribution. This is one of the steps. Then what is the next step? Get books from the temple. Or, already arrange so that the books are available in your house. Maybe you come out of the house with the books. And for maybe a week or two, don't even approach anyone. Just do this. Have books in your hand and just roam out from your house and come back. And you see, step by step, when you do these things, take the very next possible step for you. Within no time, you'll be able to actually start doing book distribution. You'll feel, "Arey Baba, I'm already out with books in hand and I'm going to this particular, mall area where many people are there. Why not, just approach someone?" And you'll be into the action, in no time. So it is for us to just take that next step. All right. Any thoughts or questions on that, or we move ahead? Should we move ahead?
Just, I just, so it was very important point, Ruji, what you mentioned about not feeling that, oh, this, like the bar is so high. Because that is what happens actually when we start practicing Krishna consciousness. We start realizing that, oh, I'm filled with so many impurities. In the beginning, we don't see that, and we feel like I'm the best devotee around. There's no one better than me. And the more we practice and become purified, the more we see the impurities within our heart. And that is why the last two lines in this purport, what we were reading, that if someone has faith, but an ordinary man may have faith in eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders. That even though unable to execute such orders, we start realizing after some time of practicing and realizing, oh, I had this desire for something else within my heart. Outwardly, I was practicing Krishna consciousness, but internally, this is what is the motive. It's not very pure. So, but one has that faith. That is what this purport writes here in the purport, that one has that faith in the injunctions of the Lord, and he's trying to practice, although he's not able to do it in the right spirit. So that itself is good enough for her, for us to reach perfection. Just having that faith and just continuing with that. So Prabhuji gives so many nice points of not, even if we fall down, we just get up and we keep moving. We get up and we keep moving. So we just have to continue that, and surely we'll reach perfection.
It's like Krishna sees, oh, this person is struggling so hard, right? Just like, you see an insect, it's stuck somewhere, trying hard. You feel, "Arey, this insect is trying so hard, let me help." And, maybe if it's stuck under something, you just lift it up. For you, it's like, 1 second job. Similarly, for Krishna, it's nothing. You can see, he sees our desire, oh, this person struggling, is really struggling to me. In a second, he can, remove the obstacle if he wants. He just needs to see that sincerity of desire to move towards it. All right, we'll next one. Sorry, something. Someone is trying to say something.
Mataji is trying to say something.
Your voice is breaking. Okay, we'll come back to our question. Maybe we'll do the rest. It's already 12:30, I think. Ye tvaetad abhyasuyanto
ये त्ववेतत् अभ्यासयन्तो
nanu tishtanti me matam
तिष्ठन्ति मे मतम्
sarvajnana vimudastam
सर्वज्ञानविमूढांस्तां
viddhi nastana chetasaha.
विद्धेनस्तान चेतसः.
So someone can read the translation quickly. Yes, please.
But those who out of envy disregard this teaching and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled, and ruined in their endeavors for perfection.
Yeah, so Krishna is saying the result of someone who's so those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled, and ruined in their endeavors of perfection. So Prabhupada writes here, the flaw of not being Krishna consciousness is clearly stated herein. As there is punishment for disobedience to the orders of the Supreme Executive Head, so there is certainly punishment for disobedience of to the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A disobedient person, however great he may be, is ignorant of his own self and of the Supreme Brahman, Paramatma, and the Personality of Godhead due to a vacant heart. Therefore, There is no hope of perfection of life for him. Now, this is not Krishna is not some. Although I mean, the talk of punishment, is prominent here. It may seem again a little heavier. That, oh, if you don't follow Krishna, you'll be punished, right? So Krishna is not that sadistic person that, acha, meri baat nahi maan rahe ho, let me give you more trouble. It's not like that. There is a set system of the material nature, right? And Krishna has very kindly given scriptures, given everything, and how to live in a civilized manner, how to go about things. If we try to break the rules and regulations, or the laws of the land, for example, even for the laws of the land, if we break, we'll be thrown in jail, right? Not that the prime minister has to catch your neck and put you in behind bars himself, but there is already an existing system which is capable of doing that. So similarly, it's not, oh, you disobey Krishna is like a sadistic child. Let me punch you or poke you with a trishul or something like that. No, there's an existing system which takes care of giving you equal and opposite reactions to what you do. So if you're disregarding the teachings of Krishna, which means naturally you'll be inclined to sin. Knowingly, unknowingly, you'll be sinning, and there'll be reactions to that. So that's the simple understanding which I have. Prabhuji, you want to add anything else, or anyone, any thoughts on this? Parthapriya Prabhu?
Oh, no, Prabhuji. Nothing. Thank you.
Okay. Should we do the last one, since that was a small one? Sadrisham cheshtate swasya
सदृशं चेष्टते स्वस्य
prakritirgnanavanapi
प्रकृतिर्ज्ञानवानपि
prakritim yanti bhutani
प्रकृतिं यान्ति भूतानि
nirgraha kim karishyati.
निग्रहः किं करिष्यति.
Translation, someone please read.
Mary,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Yes.
Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature. For everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What are repressions accomplish? What can repressions accomplish?
It's a big topic. Okay, but we'll try to touch upon it. Maybe next time we'll continue again from here, so we kind of cover it well. So even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature. For everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? Prabhupada writes, unless one is situated in the transcendental platform of Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from the influence of the modes of material nature, as it is confirmed by the Lord in the 7th chapter, 7.14. Therefore, even for the most highly educated person on the mundane plane, it is impossible to get out of the entanglement of Maya simply by theoretical knowledge or by separating the soul from the body. There are many so-called spiritualists who outwardly pose as advanced in science, but inwardly or privately are completely under particular mode of nature which they are unable to surpass. Academically, one may be very learned, but because of his long association with material nature, he is in bondage. Krishna consciousness helps one to get out of the material entanglement, even though one may be engaged in his prescribed duties in terms of material existence. Therefore, without being fully Krishna conscious, without being in full Krishna consciousness, one should not give up his occupational duties. No one should suddenly give up his prescribed duties and become a so-called yogi or transcendentalist artificially. It is better to be situated in one's position and to try to attain Krishna consciousness under superior training. Thus, one must be freed from the clutches of Krishna's Maya. In fact, this is one of the points which I was about to make in the previous sloka. I forgot when Narayani Mataji was asking how to understand if one has fallen or if one is advancing. So we mentioned a lot of things. I think one thing which I forgot to mention was you can always check with superiors, with your guru, with shiksha gurus or mentors. You can always have a check and balance, right? And ask questions. How can I advance? Right? So they'll be able to guide you step by step how to advance. So yeah, I mean, here also, I think, just to quickly sum it up, and we'll take this as a, longer discussion maybe next time. So the idea here is that one has acquired a particular nature over so many lifetimes, and it's difficult to immediately change that. You cannot, like I said, Krishna consciousness is a gradual cultivation. It's not, and overnight will become something else, right? And even when somebody is liberated, it's not that he grows some 12 horns on his head, but internally he is completely changed or transformed. So unless one is situated on that transcendental platform, Krishna consciousness, he cannot get free from influence of the modes of nature. So one has to rise to Shuddha Sattva. That will only happen after cultivating Sattva Guna and practicing Krishna consciousness very, very seriously. And waiting for the mercy of the Lord and Guru. So when they decide, oh, he's putting all his efforts trying to be in Sattva and following the principles of Vaidhi Bhakti, then through their mercy we can rise to the platform of Shuddha Sattva. So we are not sadhana siddha, we are kripa siddhas, right? Only by mercy of the Lord we can hope for perfection. But we should not stop our endeavor. That's the idea, right? And one should not, pose as somebody advanced outwardly, and inwardly we are still maintaining those attachments. So again, the second chapter Sloka of Vishaya Vinivartante, right? Internally we are something else, externally we are trying to make a show. Doesn't work, won't help you, won't help others, right? And that academic knowledge, unless and until you apply and practice, won't go a very long way, right? So therefore it is recommended to, instead of outwardly doing a show, be where you are. Like I said, take small steps, and step by step, if you start moving, even if you start walking, and you have to reach to Vrindavan, for example, right? From wherever we are, right? If you start walking, even if you take 100 steps a day, you have some hope of reaching Vrindavan one day, right? Preeti from Delhi, me, Partha Prabhu, and some others from Bombay, right? From all our respective places, we start walking towards Vrindavan. One day we are sure, we'll reach Vrindavan, because we are proceeding ahead towards that destination. Rather than, claiming, oh, uh, I'm already in Vrindavan, right? No, you're not, right? Or showing that, oh, I'm in Vrindavan. No, you're not. Vrindavan is far away. Rose, you want to add something here?
Just yesterday, so after the japa session, we read something about chanting, and so there's this verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which says that if one's heart doesn't change, tears do not flow from eyes, his body does not shiver, his bodily hairs do not stand on end when he chants, then it's understood that his heart is like hard as iron. So in the purport, Prabhupada tells that Bhakti Sri Thakur says that if sometimes people artificially show tears and they roll on the ground and try to show that they're in ecstasy, and but then it's a very interesting thing. So outwardly it might look, oh, this person is so advanced. When he does Krishna Katha, everyone is crying, in the audience. People are just mesmerized. The way he speaks, it's just so amazing. So he's so elevated, he's crying while he's speaking. So these are like outward symptoms which are mentioned when one actually progresses and on a highly elevated platform. Then these symptoms are manifest. But sometimes people might just artificially show these symptoms. So the real test, Prabhupada says there in the purport, is that of, like Roji was mentioning a few verses before, that material detachment. So the real test is material detachment. Like here also in the purport, it said very clearly that no one is free from the influence of the three modes of material nature, which means that if we artificially try to show ourselves to be very elevated, the three modes of material nature are so strong, they're going to just drag us down into material things, in material activities, material attachment, and sense gratification. They'll just literally drag us down. So artificially we may show ourselves to be very elevated, but The three modes of material nature are actually influencing us very heavily. And so therefore we will be dragged down, and that will be visible to everyone. So the real test is to see whether someone is becoming materially detached or not. Only then, we know that yes, someone is, actually spiritually advanced. But if the material attachment is still there, then we know that outwardly whatever that person will be showing symptoms and so on, speaking very nicely, Krishna Katha, there's so many Bhagavad Kathas that happen in India. But if the material attachment remains, then that is a sign that that person is not really advanced. I just wanted to share this.
Thank you so much, Puji. That's such a valid point. So when I was saying, you're not in Vrindavan, you're just making a show, this is exactly, I think, Puji touched upon that people can, imitate to cry and roll on the ground, etc. Doesn't work, right? There is no substance inside. You're just trying to make a show. So you should be careful of, such things coming in our consciousness as well. All right, so we stop here. Any questions? Take the next 5-10 minutes. Any questions or any reflections on what you heard in the class, or something that you're taking back?
Prabhuji, may I?
Yes, please.
Prabhuji, one thing I did not understand that in this text 33, that what can repression accomplish? Repression means what, Prabhuji?
Your voice is very low. Sorry.
She is asking what can repression accomplish. She didn't understand that. What does it mean?
So it means that if you are artificially trying, or I heard a class, it was so fantastic. I'm leaving my home and I'm going to the jungle and I'm just going to meditate on Krishna. Or I'll leave my home, I'll join the temple today. Right? And then when you're there, you suddenly start remembering, oh, my mother used to cook so nice food. Here I'm not getting anything. Right? Still I'm trying to repress my desire. No. Should not think of that. And because I've just accepted this clothes of sadhu, or I've accepted this life in the jungle, I should trying to repress, so it won't accomplish much. The idea is Vishaya Vinivartante, get a higher taste. Naturally you will automatically reject lower taste. Till the time you don't have higher taste, don't try to renounce artificially. That is the idea. And it is your responsibility to get that higher taste. What is that responsibility? Responsibility is to struggle hard, try your best to follow and practice Krishna consciousness very, very nicely, diligently, as per the instructions of the Lord and His representatives and scriptures. If you do that, you will definitely get the higher taste. And once you get the higher taste, there will be natural renunciation. Automatically, you will feel, why am I wasting my time, eating onion garlic? What will happen if I don't eat? And if I don't eat, there is so much benefit. I'll be closer to Krishna. You'll automatically start thinking like that, right? And that is when you can easily renounce. Okay, from tomorrow I'm not eating. That decision can happen in a matter of seconds also, but that firm conviction will come, when you followed the process nicely, where you've heard nicely, where you associate with devotees nicely, right? Just to make a show, I have to show others also. I'm also a very big Krishna bhakt, so let me not eat. And then after 1 week or 2 weeks, you'll be eating. So just artificial repression won't accomplish much, but understanding, following the process of Krishna consciousness will actually make you naturally renounced. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Roji, anything you want to add?
No, I think really that it's very clear and nice.
Prabhuji, I have one question.
Yes, Madhuri.
Prabhuji, when we are reading about Krishna conscious books and all, we know about Lord Vishnu, about Lord Brahma. Once Prabhuji said that Lord Shiva is like a curd and Krishna is like a milk. But nowhere, like we all think that we all pray to Ganesha, Lord Ganesha as Adi Deva, but there is no name. Means I have not read anywhere about Ganesha. So what is the role there? Like, I want to know about.
So there is a nice shloka. Yat pad pallavam yugam vinidhaya kumbha dvandve pranama samaye siganadi raja vignan vihantum alamasya jagattrayasya govinda madi purusham tamaham bhajami. So Lord Brahma is praying to Krishna, Lord Govinda, right? And then these are the Brahma Samhita prayers. So one of the verses he's saying, right? Yat pada pallava yugam vinidhaya kumbha. So Lord Ganesha, one of his names is Prathamesh, right? Have you heard this name?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So why is he called Prathamesh? Is because he's the first one when it comes to offering obeisances to Lord Vishnu. He's the first one, right? He's the first one. He runs and takes the lotus feet of Lord Narasimha. Lord Narasimha is incarnation of Krishna. So he takes the lotus feet of Lord Narasimha. Yad pada pallava yugam vinidhaya kumbha. Kumbha means these eyebrows. Pada pallav. Pad is lotus feet. So he takes the lotus feet of Lord Narasimha Dev, places on top of his kumbha, right? Pada pallava yugam vinidhaya kumbha vande pranama samaye saganadiraja. And that's how he offers obeisances. And he's the first one to do that, right? Prathamesh, right? The very first, every time, right? Vignan vihantum alamasya jagattrayasya. And just by doing this, by placing the lotus feet of the Lord on his kumbha, from there he draws his power of Vigna Vinasha, right? Vignan vihantum alamasya jagattrayasya. And he basically can help the entire world. He's a Vigna Vinashak for the entire world by receiving that power from the blessings of Narasimhadev, placing his feet on his kumbha like this here. Govinda Mahadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda. So Lord Narasimhadev is also known as Bhakti Vigna Vinashak, right? Narasimhadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. So he's the original Vigna Vinashak, and Lord Ganesha, he draws the power of Vigna Vinash from Lord Narasimhadev like that. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
All right. Any other thoughts or comments?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yes.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, today we heard the word occupation, and since we were talking about the modes, so most of the times, like, we're driven by the modes, and we are confused about what occupation is really ours. So when Krishna says, continue your occupation and do not give up your position, what does that really mean?
So it's thane it up. If you are already engaged in something, don't give it up immediately, right? Don't
Yes.
immediately give it up. If you're living in a family, if you're serving your parents, not that, oh, I had a nice class, let me go away from home. No, right? So artificial renunciation is not recommended. So sthanistha, be where you are, cultivate Krishna consciousness. When you reach a stage that, oh, this is not enough, I'm actually utilizing whatever available hours apart from my occupational duty, whatever available hours I'm utilizing, and I'm finding it insufficient. I need to do more, right? When you actually are, bursting out to kind of express yourself in Krishna consciousness like that, to do more service, like literally you cannot control yourself. You want to do more service. That is the time you take the next step, renounce more, like that.
Yes.
Utilize what Krishna has given you, and if you utilize it 100%, Krishna will give you more.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, should we end with a quick kirtan?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Nam Shabdai Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,